Welcome to the Called to Defend podcast, where we are musing on our past musings. I'm Caleb, and this is Josh.
The intros are always so rough. I don't understand like half of them.
We are musing on our past musings.
I guess it's true. Yeah. We put a post out saying if you want to do if you have any questions, we'll take them. We didn't get any this time that pertain to this topic. We got a couple, but they didn't really focus on what we're doing for here. But we'll keep doing these for all of our other series. They'll be cool. But we also mentioned this be like a kind of time to just kind of reflect on all the things together. Which Revelation kind of did that a little bit. Yeah. But not just kind of tying all the pieces together. Now that we've finished that part and seeing all those things. And maybe like doing a little brief thing about application. Because for me, at least, when I was thinking about this, it tied into a conversation I had with, at the time of recording this, the previous night, I had our class, and that was our third part. For you guys, it's part 4. For me, it was part 3 of the Chaos Monster series, and we spent time tracing the repetitious theme of the Genesis 3 narrative, where you have an Eve figure, you have the tree, you have a serpent figure, and sometimes you have a sacred space, or you're outside the sacred space. But you at least have those 3 figures, and it's always on repeat. And we saw that was the case with Noah after the flood with his sons and the wonderful tent incident. You saw that with Abraham, where he goes to Egypt and with the kings, and how that's a repetition of that. In that case, he plays a serpent. We saw it with David when he's in the wilderness and Saul's taking a deuce, and he could have killed him right there.
I don't know necessarily he's taking a deuce. Just
that is what the grammar euphemism means, that he's relieving himself.
Right, but see, I would read that as he could be peeing.
I like the idea of he's taking a deuce.
Right, but I'm
more
thinking
vulnerable and funny.
It is, but if he's wearing a cloak, he's probably not taking a deuce then, because he would be deucing on the cloak.
Well, you still would lower it, and depending on like how his system.
I'm really glad we can be talking about this right now.
Anyways, I was thinking about, so in a theme like that, you can see how they're describing those moments, and it's supposed to put the reader in a position of, okay, what would my response be? And people in the group said, if I'm honest, I would do the opposite, David. I would kill Saul. I wouldn't say I would let God handle this and say, God gave this to me, but I don't want to do it. I want him to handle it. And this theme, because it's a companion to this, I was thinking about, is like, there are opportunities that God provides or allows, maybe they're testing moments, where he does leave it up to us to decide if we're going to trust him and go his way, or if we're going to go our own way. Because he knows that we can handle, either we can handle it or we need to realize that we can't handle it. But then there are those situations where he's like, you can't handle this. Let me do this for you. Yeah. Just like the passing through the Sea of Reeds. That was something the Israeli people could not do. That there was no testing moment for them, really, to like, hey, if we do this, we'll survive. It was like, all right, Moses, either you do this or we're screwed. So I guess it was a test for Moses and his faithfulness. But the Israeli people, they're already freaking out. Now Moses is the one responding, but God's the one ultimately doing it. And so I guess like one of the reflections I've been kind of thinking about this over and over is that there are so many things that are just so outside of our control. And I think that we frequently try to think about, we try to take control of so many things. And then at least in my life, I see frequently how sometimes it works out and sometimes it completely piles up. And
and it gets something that I had mentioned I thought of earlier in the week. And it was specifically about Peter, but it applies to really kind of every situation where we see somebody in the midst of the chaos, is that God doesn't immediately stop it.
Yeah.
Right? God lets these things happen. And that can be a difficult thing for us to understand.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why isn't God just stopping this chaos, right? I thought God loved me. And it's like, well, hang on.
Right.
I mean, so many people turn to that direction of, I thought God loved me. Why is he not doing this? Clearly, he doesn't love me. That's not at all what's happening here.
Yeah.
Right? No, God does not want you to go through chaos. But he understands that sometimes you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As a parent, Nice stomach blurple. As a parent, sometimes I have to let my child get hurt.
Right.
Right. I think I've told the example before where I let her go under the crib to get a ball, and then she bonked her head after I had told her not to crawl under there. And she bonked her head, and she looked at me, and she felt the back of her head, and I said, "That's why we listen to Daddy." And she looked at me, and she kind of nodded and went back to playing. She had to get hurt in that moment, and then she realized, okay, he does on occasion know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Very rare occasion, but I think God has those moments with us where we are in the midst of the chaos and we are wondering where he is. In reality, he's saying, I told you not to do this. And then now you're doing it. You're going to go through this test.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult for you, but know that I'm right here and I'm willing to pick you up.
Yeah.
Right? Just like he did with Peter, I'm willing to lift you out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about this narrative necessarily. We're going to when we do our next series after Joy, which is the Genesis 2 and 3 narrative, where I think a lot of people get really upset about the idea that Eve, they complain that Adam and Eve didn't know why is God punishing them. Like, that they had no... It's like, well, okay, first off, Eve is described as discerning everything about the tree.
Yeah.
Not only that, but God is already teaching them wisdom beforehand by telling them, do not do this. And it's not him threatening them. The grammar points more to like it's a warning of like, if you do this, you will be doomed to die because you have taken apart from me. You have gone apart from me. Yeah. We can go more into that when we get to that part of the series. But the test for them was ultimately, am I going to trust my own senses or am I going to trust God?
Am I going to walk by faith or by sight?
Right. Whereas Proverbs point out the way it seems right to man. When what was her thing? It seemed delightful. Like it had this good thing. And for Peter, I mean, for him, it wasn't delight, but it was like he took his eyes off the Lord in his fear.
Right.
And so it was like this mixture of, there's that peaceful moments, sometimes the chaotic moments, but our eyes can easily just wander away and we trust our own senses rather than his. Mm-hmm. When God gave us domain over everything, but he did not say domain over the sea. He did not say that. Yeah. Even if it was like this like thematic device, we can't really control the sea to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's that interesting thing of like, the Tehom has been there, at least within narrative-wise, it's been there since the beginning.
Right.
It was there before day one. And God doesn't remove it. He tames it. Right? But like in the narrative, like in terms of our world, he tames it and he holds it back by barriers. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't remove it. Like it's still present. In that, one, his omniscience, knowing that he's going to have to use it.
Right, yeah.
But also the disorder. I mean, in order to have creatures develop a relationship and learn, there has to be that door allowed still for obedience and disobedience.
Right.
And those are part of the testings and growing in wisdom. Mm-hmm. And that he allows those moments still to exist because there is an ultimate good that still comes from it, as Joseph talks about what you meant for evil, God meant for good. Yeah. There is still that ultimate good that comes from it, even though it makes no sense to us. And it's hard to sometimes, there's some situations where it's kind of hard to see where that really fits. Yeah. Like we just got that notification about a shooting. It's hard sometimes to see how that all fits.
No, especially, right? And it's moments of like, it's called Theodicy, right? Of how a good God can allow bad things. And I think we have to, in the moments of chaos and in the moments of the how can God allow this, kind of ask ourselves, well, how could he not? That seems odd to say. Right. The classic example that people will use is, well, why are there starving children in Africa? Mm-hmm. Right? Couldn't God just do something to make them better? And I actually like Matthew West's song about this.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Where he goes through the whole thing and he says he shook his fist at heaven. He says, God, why don't you do something? And God said, I did. I made you.
Yeah.
right? Like, and so that kind of leads me to the overall point that I'm making is suffering and chaos exist in the world so that we can have the opportunity to come closer to Him and closer to each other.
Yep.
Charity is essential to the Christian faith because it allows us to act out our faith.
Right.
And in doing so, we can help people see true, genuine kindness and goodness. And that's especially relevant coming up with the Incarnation. Because obviously, God does not need to incarnate. He doesn't need to do anything. And we talked about this a lot in youth group. I taught youth group Sunday. And we talked about this a lot. Self-sufficiency of God. How He does not need to come down for us. Right? I hate when people say, well, God had to. No, He didn't. He chose to. Right. I just lost my train of thought. Hang on. Self-sufficiency.
Had to, chose to.
Had to, chose to. Incarnation.
Theodicy.
Theodicy. It's the step in between theodicy and incarnation that I'm missing.
Why does God allow...
Well, that's theodicy.
I know, but I was trying to reel it back in. Why does God allow things? And you were saying, how could He not?
How could He not? Thank you. I hate when people say, like, God had to, because He didn't have to do anything, right? He's completely self-sufficient. But the very fact that God, in perfect charity, would incarnate for us, so that, and He would go through all the bad things that we do, right? Hebrews 4 says that He was tested in every way that we were. Same with Hebrews 2, actually. It says He was tested in every way that we were, yet was without sin. Right? Jesus went through all of the struggles. He went through being hungry. He went through being abandoned, alone, rejected, and ultimately killed.
Right.
Obviously. All right? All the things that a human being can experience. Now, provided you only experienced the latter once, but He went through all of that suffering, all of that chaos in an act of charity. And because of that act of charity, we can truly and fully know God.
Yeah.
That is something that we do not appreciate enough as Christians.
No, yeah. There's a book I've referenced a few times. I think recording-wise, I've referenced it twice, but in general, I've referenced it numerous times. Theodicy of Love. I don't know much about the specific author, but the work itself, the entire point is that, okay, let's look at theodicy in regards of love and the fact that there are other spiritual forces besides just us and God.
Yeah.
And there are other characters within the narrative still. And there's a whole argument. It's an interesting book to read. But one of the things he pointed out was that very thing is like, there are times where God allows things because there is a greater opportunity of the flourishing of love.
Right.
Especially for us as Christians. And as you were saying with the Matthew West song, like, I was thinking this when I was driving last night, looking at all the clear roads, and I was thinking, dang, a few hours ago, it was like absolutely a mess. But we have the technology and the tools from natural sources as well, and some unnatural, to provide like salt or plows and all those things to put away the stuff. And it's like, it's not like God like shorthanded us in resources. We are just terrible at
that resource management generally.
Yeah, it's like there's food. Sure, there might be a food shortage in an essence, but like, if as Christians, our desire should be to go out and tend to those who do not have those resources.
Right, and we're not saying that every single Christian has to go to Africa.
No, of course.
Right,
but
I just want to throw that caveat in there.
But it's the idea that it's not like God allows chaos to still exist, but it's not like He has not equipped us to deal with it.
Right.
First off, the ultimate thing He's given us is the fact that we have this divine connection to Him, like the image of God. There is, especially as Christians, the familial relation. We have that relationship with Him. He has not shorthanded us in that.
Yeah.
That He ultimately provides all those things, but also He didn't like just create and was like, I'm going to keep this back from you guys a little bit. Like, I'm not going to provide enough food. Like He he's omniscient. He knows like how many people are going to be on this earth. He's provided enough food, and with like all the advancements, like we have access.
Exactly. And the commandment, what's the first commandment he gives man?
Be fruitful and multiply.
Exactly. Right? It's our decision. It's up to us to do the thing.
Yeah.
If we do not do the thing, we cannot get upset at God for us not doing the thing.
Right.
Right. That is something that a lot of people overlook, is the self-induced chaos.
Yeah.
Right. There are times in my life where I have, effectively shook my fist at heaven and said, God, why is this happening? I don't get it. I don't get it. And then, like, 2 months later, I'll look back and go, oh, that happened because I did that.
Yeah.
Huh. And God's just sitting there going, uh-huh. You feel stupid now, don't you? Little bit. Little bit.
Yeah.
But those are good. Those are good moments to have because it shows growth.
Yeah.
And B, it's good to recognize that, okay, some of this I do to myself.
Right.
Right. Sometimes, yes, we have a Job moment and it's not anything that we do. It's just something that God allows. And the reason that God allows it may not be known to us at that time.
Right.
Right. Job ultimately ends up flourishing. Right. Flourishing beyond belief.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean that, the losses that he had don't still hurt.
Exactly.
But it means that there was a greater purpose to it. Right?
Yeah.
Go Romans 8:18 is a great example. For all things work together for the good of God.
I thought I didn't know if you were actually going to say it.
Yeah, no, okay. I wasn't sure if you were like expecting me to say it, so
I thought you were going to say it.
We kind of had the moment of, is he going to say it? Does he want me to say it?
No, yeah. I think it's interesting that we kind of run into, I think, the narrative from beginning to end with weird pictures of like how God should have done this, and therefore we read the text as that's how it is.
Yeah.
We read the text as God did not allow there to be chaos or allow disorder to still exist, or the opportunity for disorder to exist.
Yeah.
And we kind of go with like, well, everything was perfect. I was like, what do you mean by perfect? First off,
Right.
there's a lot of ways you can go with that. But disorder, the domains of disorder still existed. And you see that there is a figure who, in his deception of human beings, gives into disorder, and is in that moment you have this dual rebellion between human and spiritual being, which was a self-induced thing that they chose to do. They brought destruction upon themselves. But God allows those moments, both the ones beyond our control and the ones within our control, for those testing moments of ultimately, are you going to trust in me and to equip you and to make you wiser? It's like you said with your daughter. It's I warned you and I love you and I'm providing you the way out. If you choose to do this way, I'm not going to stop you because you will learn. I think it's James where he talks about how the testing is not for his benefit, it's for ours. Like he already knows how we're going to respond to the tests.
Yeah.
He already knows how we're going to respond to the tests, but it's for our benefit. And there's times where like I was even reflecting on...
First Peter also talks about it.
And I was reflecting on things recently in my life and I was like, I think I was anticipating that maybe God was saying this. And then I realized, wait a minute, no, he's actually testing me about this and how my response is. And now he's saying, if you want to keep going this way, this is how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
If you want to turn that around, you need to be going this direction.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing he does with David. Frequently.
Same thing he does with a lot of people,
I know, but I'm thinking that David never, he was like, if I go here, am I going to die? Yes. If I stay here, am I going to die? Yes. If I go there, now you're good. But yeah, the idea of chaos, that within this first creation, at least God allows the sea to be there. He doesn't remove it, he just contains it.
Right.
Of which he puts good things in there.
True.
And he gave us dominion of those good things that are in there. Minus the sea monsters. But but then also the fact that there's his knowledge of knowing that it will be a tool that he may have to use or to take his hands off and let it do its own thing. Or that... What's my train of thought now? He allows it still to exist with those good things in there to show that, one, it can be something that he can turn to good. There's nothing outside of his control. There is the fact that is a thing that he might have to use for judgment or allowed to take place as a form of judgment, or it's a humans, I am giving you this task, but know that you can't do it without me. And it's not this arbitrary type of thing. It seems like, in my desire to teach you and to have this relationship with you, this is the way to do it. This is the only way to do it. Any way outside of this is not going to be a true, is not going to be by definition love. The very thing that I have set out to do based on the relationship within the triune Godhead. And then you have that within the new creation. Those who are in the new creation are those who have had that relationship with them, the desire to be in that Eden spot with them, to be in that creation where there is no chaos, because their desire is fully to be with him in that relationship, that their faith is completely in him, in what Christ has done in that relationship. And it's those that they will be freed entirely from the chaos, not even just from the consequences of like sin and stuff, like the presence of chaos is removed. Like there is no threat of chaos anymore.
Yeah.
And that they are able to be there with him because that is the new creation. Like it is the original ideal, but grander. And then those who don't desire that, he says, if you want to be in chaos, apart from me, be in death, apart from life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force you there, because if you don't desire me now, you're not going to desire me to be there when you are here. If you hate worshiping now, you're not going to love worshiping there with all of your brothers and sisters. Like that's not going to work. You don't love me, so I'm not going to force you here, as like you've mentioned numerous times before.
Yeah.
If you want chaos, I'll give it. Like you'll get it good and hard.
Yes.
You'll get it, and it's not even just I'm going to give it to you. You'll be consumed by it. It's like kind of like how C.S. Lewis said, like they're locking themselves into it.
The doors of hell are locked from the inside.
But it's that interesting thing of, reflecting on those moments when things seem out of control. Are we going to stress out or kind of trying to figure out how to do it ourselves? We're going to stop, breathe, and remember the one who is in control. And this could be like the big chaos moments, the little chaos moments.
And everything
where
in
is
between.
where is that resting spot? Are we trusting in him that he's going to part the sea? And I imagine this, especially, like, we can talk about, like, all, like, the stuff here in America. I'm thinking, like, especially for our brothers and sisters who are being persecuted. Like, they're facing, like, chaos in a different level.
Yeah.
That's not to diminish the chaos here, but very different kind of chaos. Kind of just put things in perspective.
Yeah. I would say it's a little bit more of intense, right? We are not as Christians under threat for our lives.
I'm not, my point is not to say, like, hey, you who are struggling with this, get over it. Yeah. It's me saying, like, put things in perspective, recognize that we have brothers and sisters who are going through that intensive chaos where they are basically going through what the Israelites went through. Yeah. What the early Christians went through. And the amount of testimonies I've heard from, like, different reports or from missionaries are usually them, like, this is awful, but my peace is in the Lord. And it's like, man, they can have peace in that. Yeah. We for sure should be able to have peace here in the things that are going on here. We can for sure find that peace. It's not like it's far, because he's near. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and certainly that has happened just in my own life, of moments where it's like I should be freaking out right now. Yeah. Right. Like, there are things that have happened in my life. I won't get into it, but there are things that have happened in my life where it's like there is no possible way this turns out well for me. But God's got it. Yeah. And it's like that sense of peace that you can't describe. You can't put a finger on it. Yeah. We went over in Philippians 4. It is not the peace that surpasses understanding, that is different. Yeah. But it is still clear throughout Scripture and very much anecdotally that there is a peace that you just cannot explain. Yeah. And that may not convince a skeptic, but it doesn't have to. Right. Right? And the cross of Christ is foolishness to those who are perishing. Right. But to those who are being saved.
Yeah. And it's like to tie into the picture of Christ and what he has done. He put his hand in the chaos for Peter. So he dipped into the chaos. But then when on the cross, he descends into it and rises out. We went through all the stuff that there is chaos on this side of the first creation, but in the new creation, that sea is removed because of the work of Jesus Christ. And what the Son has done in his incarnate form, that he descended and came out. And I think that that's just a piece that is... We talk about his death, but I feel like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like as Christians, at least in our circles, we kind of like just kind of jump through that and immediately go straight to the resurrection, which is an important detail, as Paul says.
Yeah, of course.
Extremely important detail. But what that death means, we immediately just go, yeah, it's just wrath. And it's like,
it's so much
there's so much more than it's just wrath is taken. I mean, there's a whole lot more going on. And I think that I think in our desire to be able to make the gospel understandable, which it's understandable regardless, but I think in our desire to feel like we're trying not to overcomplicate the gospel, we make the gospel very shallow. And there's all these narratives that tie together and shows like this is the full picture of what Jesus has done. And this is just one piece of what he's done. That he has, yes, he's taken sin upon himself and all those kinds of things, like we've talked about in passages, but he's also descending into death. The very thing that we're supposed to be going to, he descends into it to pull us out of it, which is one layer among so many that plays into the kingdom narrative of this is the polar opposite of what every other kingdom is doing. They're going over and conquering through violence and things. Yeah. He conquers by surrendering his own life.
Right.
And then he rises up and death is like, oh shoot, we're screwed. Yeah. You and me, Hades, as Revelation personifies, we're screwed. Yeah. And the devil's like, crap.
I messed up. I messed up big.
But it's that hope in Christ that there will be no more sea.
Right.
That there is that ultimate peace. That there still will be chaos now on the side of the creation, but there is a new creation coming in the kingdom where that presence of chaos is gone, and it's just his glory, which is really cool. I don't know, it's really cool, and I have no idea how to picture that. The Bible's not really going to explain that for us.
I have tried many times, and it's just not something that I think is feasible for the human mind to really capture.
And I think God obviously knows that because he doesn't really get into that in the text. He's just like...
The closest you get is Ezekiel and Revelation.
And even then...
it's just mere human descriptions of what...
they can understand.
They can't really, of what they can't even perceive.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, there's so much more that can be said, but I think that's
a good place to...
I think it's a good place. Next week, we'll be doing I think 3 or 4 part journey on joy. We'll be beginning with Luke. Seems appropriate given the holiday coming up.
We will bring you glad tidings of great joy.
Yeah. And then I'll announce this now. After Luke, we'll be beginning another geographical spot, and that will be the mountains. And that kind of spawned from our conversation about Jesus walking on water. Mm-hmm. And so that'll be our next journey, and that'll be fun.
As the Lord wills it.
Yeah, as the Lord wills it. It'll be fun. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in with us for this series. I hope that you've enjoyed this series, and it's been a blessing. I mean, it's one I've known about for a while, but it's kind of nice to actually go through and talk about them because it really kind of solidifies some understanding.
Yeah.
And opens the eyes even now to like newer thoughts and application. You know, the whole idea, like you can know something, but when you stop and talk or teach on it, there's just something different about your understanding that kind of happens. And so I hope that was kind of your kind of experience, and you get to talk about these other people as well. And
you can do so in the comments section below.
I was about to get there. Do your thing.
Which, while you're down there, you can finally join us in the land of the ordered and in the land of the chaos-free by subscribing to the channel and dropping a like. Really helps us out, and it certainly gets you out of the abyss.
Sure. With that said, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time, Lord willing.